Good morning. Welcome to United States Sports Academy and our weekly sports talk program. With me today, we got a special topic today that only happens every 4 years, so we decided to bring in an extra guest. To my far left is Dr. Brett Simmermacher, our chair of sports coaching. Next is Dr. Fred Cromartie, our director of doctoral studies. And sitting right next to me is Mr. Ben Billman, one of our wonderful graduate teaching assistants here at the Academy. And I'm Steve Butler, and I'm your host. And I'll kind of lead this Olympic preview is what we're going to do today. You know, the opening ceremonies are this Friday evening. I think all of us are big Olympic fans. I know I'm a huge Olympic fan. I love the Olympics. I watch every second of it I can on all the different NBC networks this year. The first one I can remember is 1964.
Okay, all right. You don't have to go back that far.
But I'm just saying that, you know, that people when they think about sports oftentimes have Olympic memories. For me, my most vivid Olympic memory was Bob Beamon's long jump in '68 in Mexico City when he broke the old record by over 2 feet. Anyway, as we get ready
Sugar Ray Leonard in '76, Montreal.
Anyway, as we in the good old days when America was good in boxing, you know, Nadia Comaneci scored a 1.00 in Montreal because the scoreboard was incapable of putting up a 10. And she does this wonderful routine on the uneven parallel bars, and the score comes up 1.00, and everybody's like, what? But the announcer took care of it because the scoreboard only had 3 digits. As we approach the Olympics this year in Rio in 2016, I'd like to first ask you guys, if you could only watch one event in the entire Olympics, which event would it be? Brett, I'll start with you.
I'm gonna say the 4x100. I just love that race.
Swimming or running?
Running.
Okay.
On the track. There's a lot of them you can choose. I mean, I'd love to see Michael Phelps do well again. I don't know that he can at his age, but then again, you didn't think he was going to do well in the trials, and he did very well there. So, and plus, whether anybody can get within 50 of the USA basketball team. But anyway.
Men or women?
The French might have something to say about that. Yeah. Well, the women, it's not going to be a 50-point margin, but it should be hands down a victory. But I'm going to say table tennis. And I'm saying table tennis because I went to the games in Atlanta in '96, and at that particular time, happened to be standing outside the venue, and there was a couple that had some tickets, and they weren't going to go. They gave me and my buddy the tickets, and we got to see the gold medal round of table tennis, and we're sitting center, and it was absolutely amazing. And ever since then, that's one of the venues. Having gone to 3 Olympiads myself, that's one of the ones that I've always tried to get tickets to and go see because it just captivated me. Mm-hmm. I thought it was really, really cool.
I was teaching, these guys know this, but for our viewers out there, I was teaching in Shanghai back in May of 2014. I just happened to be there for my birthday. And the present that my class gave me for my birthday is an official Chinese Olympic table tennis uniform. And I've never worn the shorts because they're kind of short. But one of the things that, and we'll get to Ben in a second, but one of the things that I think Brett, Fred, and I are going to watch this year with the Olympics, having taught some world-class Chinese athletes who are transitioning into the coaching realm. When we're watching the Chinese teams on TV, I'm going to be looking to see the coaches, see if there's any of the coaches that were our former students, because the guy who actually gave me the table tennis uniform, he was the national coach. And what we were doing, I was teaching sports coaching methodology, so we made him do coaching clinics every day. And when we did the table tennis coaching clinic, they went through the whole clinic, and then we had about 10 minutes left over, and he looks at me and he goes, "Dr. Steve, you want to see Showtime?" And we said, sure. So the coach and one of his best players, who very well might be an Olympian, I don't remember the player's name, no way to check that. I can certainly check the coach's name. But him and one of his best players, they put on an exhibition that was pretty phenomenal. But the first thing they did was they just hit the ball back and forth as fast as you can imagine, both standing right behind the table. And then the coach hit a lob, and the guy slammed it, and the coach was like 30 feet behind the table. And he kept returning them. And the dude he'd jump 2 feet off the ground and just slam the heck out of it. Coach would return it. And this went on for like 5 minutes. It was pretty phenomenal.
But actually, speaking of table tennis for the Americans this year, we have a 16-year-old from New Jersey that made the team and is to be contended with, they say. So
there was an article in Sports Illustrated on the Olympic preview this year that talked about a couple guys from China that have defected to the U.S. And will probably make the U.S. team in 2020 in table tennis. Okay, Ben, what event are you looking forward to?
I would have to say I'm looking forward to the sports that basically the rest of the 4 years I don't even pay attention to. But then for 2 weeks, I watched them with a lot of fervor. I would say the two that I'm most looking forward to are gymnastics because, again, I don't watch these sports on a regular basis. And all of a sudden, especially female gymnastics, they become heroes, especially the United States gymnasts. And then also the swimming events. Very excited to see what Michael Phelps can do in his last Olympics, and he's already won more golds than anyone in Olympic history. We'll see if he can win another one here in Rio.
But part of the reason that you probably didn't follow is because in previous years, 10, 15 years ago, you really didn't get the chance to see
It's true.
maybe a little bit of coverage of both the world, events and things like that. But nowadays, it's becoming more and more popular. You see individual swim and gymnastics competitions televised, and it's becoming more of a universal product, so to speak, on television now.
Yeah, and it used to be on ABC, and that was it. Now I have NBC, CNBC, NBC Sports Network, MSNBC, and so you
USA, whatever it is, an opportunity to present it, they'll present it.
You get Ben definitely is too young to remember this. One of the most famous Olympic events in history, even though it was Winter Olympics, was the 1980 hockey game between the United States and Russia. That wasn't even televised live. It was played like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was televised at 8 o'clock to be in
And they told you if you didn't want to know who won, you can't listen to the radio.
So we've come a long way in the coverage, and I'm kind of in agreement with most of these guys. I love track and field. And I think it's going to be fascinating to see. I think of Michael Phelps and Usain Bolt in kind of the same way. Obviously, we were talking about this earlier this morning. You can make arguments about who the greatest basketball player of all time, baseball player, football player, golfer, whatever. But there's no doubt about who the fastest human being in the history of the world is, and that's Usain Bolt. And Michael Phelps in swimming as well. And these two guys, it seems like, it happened in 2008, it happened in 2012. They dominated the Olympics, and then they kind of disappeared for like 2.5, 3 years. And then, it's getting time for those Olympic things again. Let me see if I can start training. And it was going to be interesting. Ben mentioned Michael Phelps. When he first swam in 2000, he was the youngest U.S. Olympic swimmer at that time since 1932. So for 68 years, he was the youngest. He was only in one race, 200-meter butterfly, and he finished 5th. And then the rest, of course, is history with 18 golds and 22 total medals. It's kind of come full circle from being the youngest U.S. Olympic swimmer since 1932. This year, he could become the oldest swimmer from any country to win an individual gold. And he's got 3 chances in individual gold and 3 chances in relays. So we'll see how that goes. One of the interesting things that they in Sports Illustrated, they talked about 3 individual athletes who could dominate the games, and they were Usain Bolt, Michael Phelps, and Koichi Uchimura, who I will admit I had never heard of until I read the article. But I think it's important. He's actually from Japan, and he's a gymnast. I didn't need to tell you that Usain Bolt was from Jamaica and a sprinter, or that Michael Phelps was from USA and a swimmer. But they put Koichi Uchimura right up there with Bolt and Phelps. He won the silver in all around in 2008, which was Japan's first medal in 24 years, and then won the gold in 2012 in London. And one of the things that's special about him is he's the first gymnast in history to win every major title between Olympiads. Since London in 2012, he's won every world championship, every Asian championship, every big tournament. He's been the overall all-around gold medal winner. And he could be the first, since another Japanese, who I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his name, but another Japanese gymnast who won in 1968 and 72. So he could be the first one in was that 46 years to repeat as an all-around gold medalist. So those are some of the things that we'd like to see. One of the other fascinating things, especially from the U.S. perspective, is the number of women on the Olympic team this year. In London was the first Olympics ever where the United States women's team was bigger than the men's team. It was only by a handful. This year, the United States women's team is the largest team ever at the Olympics. And 292 to, I think, 258 for the men. Something like that. But it's a big difference between the men and the women this year for the U.S. In London, the United States won 104 total medals, and the women won 58 of them. And as we already said, this is the largest team ever. Some of the U.S. women's stars that we can look forward to watching this year in swimming, we have Missy Franklin and Katie Ledecky. What do you guys think about their chances?
Very good.
Yeah, I watched some of the trials, and they both look dominant again.
If you look at the record book in the 800 meter freestyle, Katie Ledecky has the 10 fastest times in history.
Yeah.
All of them. And in the 400 meter freestyle, she's got 8 of the top 10, and the other ladies in there like at 5 and 9, or they're in the bottom half.
Don't count out some of the women in track and field. Allison Felix.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Interestingly, Randall Cunningham's daughter
yes,
just won the world championships in the high jump, but she's not. And according to Sports Illustrated, anyway, she's not favored to medal in the Olympics. So that's something that I'm interested in watching. Ben mentioned gymnastics. Simone Biles is the first woman ever, American or otherwise, to win 3 straight world all-around championships. But this is her first Olympics.
4, I think it is.
Well, 3 or 4 anyway. If she won 4 straight, she certainly won 3 straight. But anyway, this is her first Olympics, so it'll be interesting to see how she comes through in those. Women who win the all-around titles in the Olympics in this country become instant heroes. Like Ben talked about, Mary Lou Retton, and then Nastia Liukin, who we have a statue of her outside the back of our building on the balance beam. And her and her dad, who was an Olympic gold medalist for the Soviet Union in the 80s, both came for the dedication of that monument. One thing I wanted to bring up is there's a team in the United States that Sports Illustrated called the most dominant team at these Olympic Games. And that's saying something when you're just talking about men's basketball, women's basketball. But I just want to read you these names: Eleanor Logan, Megan Musnicki, Amanda Elmore, Amanda Polk, Tessa Gabo, Carrie Simmons, Emily Reagan, Lauren Schmetterling, and Caitlin Snyder. Does anybody know what sport that is?
I do, because I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
And I'm like these guys.
I would have never known
If
that.
somebody would have said who's the most dominant team at these Olympics, I think any of us would have said either men's basketball or women's basketball. But it's the women's 8s in rowing, and I guess these guys, there's only 2 of them left over from the team that won the gold medal in London. But they've got this program worked out where they train at Princeton, and they basically focus on the Olympics. So that it's kind of a build up for these guys, and according to Sports Illustrated, they're gonna dominate the field in their event even more so than the basketball teams. So I just want to throw those names out there because that even though we'll get to see them on TV, most people have probably never heard of them. Another interesting sport is women's soccer. We're the odds-on favorite to win the gold medal there. But one of the interesting facts about that is no reigning World Cup champion has ever won the Olympic gold medal. And of course, we won the World Cup last year.
And actually, soccer starts today.
Yes.
Today is the very first Olympic event. Soccer starts for the women today and men's tomorrow.
If you'll notice, we're not talking about men's soccer in the Olympics. That's because we didn't qualify. One of the things that you hear about oftentimes is the discussion about basketball. Is it right for us to send our pros, or should we go back to the old days and send our college kids? What do you guys think about the current setup in basketball?
I think you want the best to represent your country. I don't have any problem with the pros, and I think they've represented not just the country, but the NBA, their home cities, their home franchises, and I think it just builds the sport up even more. If we went back to just doing college players, I don't know if you get the fanfare and the just the viewership for basketball. I don't know if it would be there. So
Well, the fact of the matter is that it's in line with the rest of the world. They were using their professional players for a long time, and now we use ours. So it's really no different. The outside of basketball, and that the fact of the matter is that when you look at it, some of the other sports like golf was just added this year.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those professional golfers are not going. And it's not just the concerns with health and security and all that good stuff. The golf season is still in play right now. There's a major golf tournament this weekend, the John Deere in Illinois. You know, people, it's just a John Deere. Well, for some of those golfers, that's serious.
Yeah.
That's an opportunity. I mean, you're looking at it as, okay, a gold medal, which you basically get nothing from. It's the gold medal. Or you go and you participate in the John Deere and you have a chance to win that, and that could be $1 million or more.
They actually get a stipend for winning the medal, but it's not.
Yeah, but it's not close to winning the John Deere tournament or any of those other Olympic tournaments, you know. So, I mean, you get these guys that make their decisions based on, you know, a whole lot of different factors.
Sure.
So that's part of it. And when they had baseball, a lot of the Major League Baseball players didn't go and participate because it's in the middle of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, the WNBA is basically taking a 1 month hiatus.
Yeah.
And another thing we got to remember is that a lot of the Olympians from the NBA are not Americans. You know, you got Manu Ginobili for
Mhm.
Argentina. You've got
The guy from
Andrew Bogut for Australia.
Andrew
You've got
Bogut,
Dirk Nowitzki, who could be participating with Germany, but he's not.
Tony Parker for
Yeah,
France.
France. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them. Morris Diaw. You know, there's a number of players.
I saw where the big guy that played for Golden State last year. What's his name? Guy with the long hair from. he's from Brazil.
Varejao.
Oh, Varejao, yeah.
Varejao is injured.
He's not playing either.
That's right. He's
Yeah.
injured, not playing. One of my response to allow the pros play is quite simple. 1972. We got robbed from the gold medal. Doug Collins and guys still have not accepted the silver medal,
And they never will.
and they never will. But no matter how hard they try, the referees, the official scorekeeper, the Olympic officials from Russia, they can't steal a game from you at the end if you're ahead by 42 points. So that's why I think it's good. I actually heard on one of the talk radio shows on ESPN the other day. It was one of the players on the current team. I can't remember which one it was. He said he thinks it would be a good idea if an NBA player could only play once. You could have one, you get the Olympic experience, and then that would open it for a lot more guys to play. You know, it was on Jalen Rose show, Jalen and Jacoby, because Jalen said he thought that was a great idea. This will be Carmelo's third Olympics.
Third Olympics, yeah.
And he's having a really fun time. You can tell just by watching the guys. But you know,
I used to win.
huh?
That's not right. I'm gonna say it.
You have a lot more fun.
Yeah,
than
that's
that,
true.
right?
That's true.
And you know, Ben and I were talking this morning, and you know, from top to bottom, the women's basketball team could be better than the men's, comparatively speaking, to the rest of the world. You know, why don't you talk a little bit about that, Ben?
Yeah, I went through their roster this morning. I mean, when you look at it and you put down here 5 UConn players, obviously UConn coaching staff as well, with Gino Auriemma leading the coaching staff there. But when you hear these names, Diana Taurasi, Brianna Stewart, Maya Moore, Brittany Griner, Elena Deladon, Tina Charles, Tamika Catchings, and Sue Bird. Just those players right there. I mean, and I told you, Dr. Butler, I could see any of those players scoring 30-plus points in the game and not be shocked at all in the Olympics. It's a phenomenal roster.
All you got to really do to understand how great this USA women's team is Candace Parker didn't make the team.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty awesome. Dr. Cromartie mentioned this a little bit, but I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about a couple of things. One is security, and one is the conditions that they're going through. Ben showed me a picture yesterday online of Andrew Bogut building a shower curtain to put it up in the shower in his hotel room, and I think there's been a lot of talk about the Zika virus. There was a lady expert, a scientist who's expert in those kind of things on TV last week, and she said it's winter now in Rio, and the mosquito threat isn't really that much of a threat anymore. I guess they've moved to North Miami, but
But they don't have very much of a winter either.
no, they don't.
The threat is still there.
They're tropics.
Yeah.
And I think the real thing that concerns most people around the world, not just Americans, are the conditions for the swimming events that are not in the pool.
No. You need to be concerned about the water conditions, period.
Yeah.
The water is not filtered, and that's the same water that people will bathe in. That's the same water that will be in the indoor swimming pools. That's the same water that you brush your teeth in. So you need to be concerned if you are up over there attending these games, whether you are an athlete or somebody out of just there to support their Olympic team. You need to be concerned.
And I know personally, I've been in places in the world where I brush my teeth with bottled water. So
Exactly.
that's-
Yeah, I have been to those same places too. I think before we, close up in that, we would be remiss if we did not recognize and make mention to the first Olympic refugee team.
Yeah.
This is the first time we are recognizing places like the South Sudan,
Mhm.
which they are represented to have Olympians in that. So I think this is a tremendous opportunity for those various countries and have an opportunity to participate in the Olympic Games. So I wanted to, take
There's
that
a-
opportunity.
There was a guy in London. He was a marathon runner named Gore Maker. You can Google him. His last name is Maker. He came out to our race. As you know, I'm on the board of directors of the Big Sur National Marathon. He came to our half marathon. Oh, I guess it was 3 years ago now. It was after the Olympics, and he finished third in our race. Finished third overall. He was a super guy. And when he came to the Big Sur half marathon, he had just obtained U.S. citizenship.
Mhm.
So he was a dual citizen. And we have awards for top 3 Americans, and we also have a qualifying bonus if you make the Olympic qualifying, the Olympic trials qualifying time. So what he had to do was he could accept the bonus for being the first American. He was behind 2 Kenyans, but he couldn't accept the bonus, the USA qualifying bonus. At that time, he hadn't made a decision yet whether he was going to try to qualify in the United States or Sudan. And I don't mean this to be disparaging to Sudan anyway, but I think if you're a good marathon runner, your chance of qualifying would be much better there. He ran in 2012 with the IOC logo on his shirt because South Sudan
It's not recognized.
didn't have a team, and he was a super nice guy. I got a picture of him somewhere in my telephone. Super nice guy, spoke perfect English, and was awesome, obviously an awesome runner. But he was, of course, one of the big people at our race that the local media wanted to talk to because of his experience in London. So they've kind of gone from having that one to having that entire group of runners that could do something at the games. The other thing we wanted to make sure we mentioned is Bernard Lagat, the United States distance runner who will be going to his 5th Olympic Games, which is pretty impressive. Just as impressive, I think, for a distance runner as it is for Michael Phelps, and we'll all be cheering for him very hard. Any last thoughts as we wrap this thing up as we're running out of time? Sarah's back there giving us a sign about wrap it up, so we don't go over our time limit. Any last thoughts, Brett?
I'm a little worried about security. We've had,
You better be a lot worse.
you've already had a couple incidences already with China and stealing their luggage, and
Australia got robbed in the fire.
So I think that's got to be a huge concern.
Oh, it's huge.
And you guys brought up some other things.
I think to amplify Brett's point, Saturday night at dinner, my teenage son, we were talking about the security Olympics, and he said, Dad, if there isn't a huge catastrophe, it'll be a tremendous success.
It would.
Yeah, I think that sums it up pretty well in one sentence.
I think one of the things that we have to make mention of too is the fact that this is the first Olympiad where basically the IOC has loosened the rules for commercialization and marketing, and they've allowed teams such as Under Armour and those that normally don't traditionally get in and sponsor the Olympic Games to use their athletes for commercial purposes. So they've it's tantamount to me to they've allowed ambush marketing.
Mhm.
And I'm with Dr. Simmermacher on the safety and security, not just of the athletes, but of spectators and coaches and all that. And you showed me this morning, but the U.S. men's basketball team is actually staying on a cruise ship just off the Rio.
It's much more than a cruise ship.
It's much more than a cruise ship, but they have personal chefs. They've got extended beds so they can sleep comfortably. They've got a workout facility that overlooks the city landscape, and I think that was
Security that's second to none.
security. I think that was a fantastic idea, and I wouldn't be surprised as these Olympics go on if there's more complaints that maybe other countries, maybe other teams do something similar to that to get out of the conditions that the athletes are in right now.
The USOC did not do that. The Olympic basketball team members, Carmelo Anthony and 3 or 4 others, were instrumental in doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, couldn't do that in Salt Lake City.
Well, yeah, I couldn't see. I don't think that you're going to see the ladies rowing team be able to rent a yacht.
Probably not.
You're right. And it's, you know, I guess I'm the eternal optimist, but I remember in Sochi, in London, probably the last 3 or 4 Olympic Games, going into it, huge concern about security, huge concern about the facilities, and somehow, some way, it always comes out okay. You know, the Sochi, they tried to do a Winter Olympics in a summer resort and in the middle of summer, and they somehow pulled that off. So I'm fearful that something could happen, but I'm optimistic that the folks in Rio working together with the IOC and the other organizations will have a way to fix it. The last thing I want to mention before we leave here is there's a young lady on the U.S. fencing team, and I apologize to her if I mess up her name, but it's Ibtihaj Muhammad, and she's a member of our fencing team, and she's the first person she's a Muslim, and she's the first American that will compete with the headdress, and we may not see it because they wear a helmet and mask over the headdress, but hopefully we'll get to see it on the medal stand. Anyway, that's our Olympic preview. Next week when we come back, we'll probably talk a little more about the Olympics because we'll be kind of right smack dab in the middle of it. Michael Phelps could have won 2 individual golds by then. His first gold medal event is Sunday night at 10:52 Rio time. Is Rio on the same time as us, or are they the same time?
No, they are, I think, 3 hours behind us.
3 hours behind us?
Yes.
So it'll be like 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, we hope everybody enjoys the Olympic coverage. Like we said, you know, probably 6 or 7 networks out there now they'll be showing something. And the good thing that NBC does is they keep it consistent.
Oh, yeah.
Like if you want to watch a certain sport, it's always on CNBC or MSNBC. They keep it consistent. So we hope everybody enjoys the Olympics. Root hard for the USA or any other folks. You know, there's one runner from Grenada that we'll probably root for because he's real good friends with one of our faculty.
Ronnie James.
Ronnie James, who won the gold medal at 400 meters in London. And our very own Dr. Spadley were teammates at college and very good friends. So we'll still root for the Americans, but we'll kind of sneak in a little cheer for Ronnie James if you get a chance. Enjoy the games, and we'll see you next week at 11:30 a.m. Central. Next Wednesday, 11:30 a.m. Central Time.